So it's been 2 months since the official release of the 2020 RAZR, and since then it's been pretty quiet here on YouTube with a lack of follow-up videos or longer-term reviews on the new foldable flip phone from Motorola. In this video, we are going to cover some new experiences I've had with the RAZR, see where it's currently priced after many tech reviewers on YouTube deemed this phone dead, and try to figure out the true value of this truly unique device. Let's get started. So to quickly catch those up who didn't know this phone existed, or for those who just need a quick refresher, this new RAZR was one of the first foldable, flippable smartphones to be announced in 2019, and there was a lot of hype around this device, thanks to the success and iconic history of the original RAZR, of course, but also thanks to the new form factor that was yet to be seen in the smartphone space, being a foldable phone opposed to a foldable tablet. Fast forward to 2020, and the release date was pushed back an additional month due to, quote, higher than expected demand, according to Motorola, which surely further increased anticipation for what was looking to be a revolutionary product in the tech space. February rolls around, and the phone is finally in consumers' and tech reviewers' hands, and a lot of you are interested in checking out what the new 2020 RAZR was all about. So you may be thinking to yourself, everything is in check here. A sequel to one of the best-selling phones ever, a new take on the now decade-old glass slab smartphone with a foldable screen design, and lots of hype behind it all. What could possibly go wrong? As soon as the product was in hand and the inevitable initial new tech excitement had fizzled out, reviewers very quickly began to point out the many imperfections of the new RAZR, and as a result, the flippable foldable with a number of unforgivable compromises alongside a rather unfriendly price tag was the nail in the coffin for the RAZR, and was quickly announced as dead in the YouTube space. RIP, F's in the chat. And that brings us to now. Approaching a few months after release, I am seeing zero follow-up content on the RAZR. Units purchased at launch have either been returned to Motorola or are collecting dust while reviewers move on to products which will garner more clicks and views. So I decided to take another look at this phone for those still curious about it at home and see if there could still be something of value here. So starting with value in mind, the retail price of the 2020 RAZR is galaxies away from reasonable at $1,500. When you hear that number, no matter what economic status you are currently in, something triggers in your brain telling you something isn't right here. And many of you were quick to voice your opinion on this in the comment section of my videos, explaining what this phone is really worth to you. This was an ongoing narrative during the short-lived review period of the RAZR. New tech in general is always criticized for its unreasonable pricing, but it was interesting to see so many of you take it to another level, saying things like, the RAZR is a $300 phone on paper with a $1,200 folding premium. I wouldn't even pay half of the RAZR's asking price, or as extreme as, I wouldn't buy it at any price. So a phone with a very negative mindset regarding value and a generally unsuccessful verdict from reviewers here on YouTube got me thinking, how much is the RAZR going for today? Everybody knows that a device's value depreciates in its lifetime, some quicker than others, but I was amazed to see the 2-month-old RAZR selling on SwapUp for just $750. Considering this is half of the original retail price not all too long after release, I thought it would make for an interesting video to repurchase and take another look at the RAZR to see if it's now worth it at this greatly reduced cost, and if initially unforgivable shortcomings can now be overlooked. Now looking at the things I do like first and foremost, starting with the phone when folded. The front of the RAZR looks great, feels premium, and has also proven to be very functional, which I believe is essential for any flip phone or smartphone foldable to be released in the future. The 2.7-inch quick view display has been quite helpful in navigating all of your notifications at a glance, and means you don't have to open up and engage with your phone unless it's absolutely necessary. You can dismiss the stuff you don't need and keep on moving with your day. Below this tiny yet functional display is the primary camera of the RAZR. Being able to utilize the main camera from the front and in a much smaller form factor has proven to be quite useful and beneficial. I've never really enjoyed pulling out my huge phones to take selfies or front-facing shots, so in real-life usage and application, this is a great feature. Below the main camera is the dual-tone flash, which on its own isn't anything to marvel over, but again, the real-life usage implications have been great, as the simple chop motion to turn it on has helped me when I needed some light in a moment's notice. And yes, every other phone has this flashlight capability, but opening up your phone and going to the flashlight setting every time you need it is cumbersome. But a couple chops with the RAZR and the flashlight is ready to go, which I love. Finally, under the flash is the fingerprint sensor, which is super fast and responsive. The RAZR does have facial recognition, but personally I find the use of the fingerprint sensor more reliable as it works quickly every time. And of course, the compact form factor is the main reason you even consider a phone like this, and Motorola has done a great job here. When folded, this thing can fit in the smaller pocket of your jeans, if you ever needed to do that for whatever reason, and it is sized small enough to fit in your shirt pocket. But the relatively heavier weight of the phone can make your pocket sag a bit, and I personally wouldn't pocket my phone this way. There are general arguments out there about these clamshell design phones not really saving that much space, since the phone in its folded state makes for something twice as thick as your conventional phone, and the fact that even the biggest phones on the market are able to fit in the average person's pocket. But the unfolded RAZR is super thin, making the folded state that much more compact. You can easily get a good grip of it, and it certainly won't be getting dropped until you begin to open and close the RAZR. This took a bit of practice to get used to, but opening and closing the phone with one hand is possible with a little bit of hand acrobatics. Yes, I made that word up. Index finger on top, pinky below, thumb through the side, and a flick of the wrist will open it up. If your hand is big enough, then your thumb will push the phone open as well. And as you can see, I've been pretty aggressive with opening and closing the RAZR, but it has handled it quite well, and I have no concerns compromising the device by doing this. Closing the phone is where I think drops will most likely happen, since your pinky is the only thing supporting the closing action, and I found myself with a couple close calls just from filming this video. But honestly, I refuse to use two hands to open and close a phone that boasts a compact form factor as its primary selling point. Any other phone on the market can be opened with one hand, so a phone even smaller should follow suit. Perhaps when foldables become more mainstream, manufacturers will find safe ways of effectively opening and closing such devices with one hand. And now, while this method works, it has been digging away at my thumb and makes me think something better can be done here. The next thing that I think can be done better here is the implementation of the main display. While from one perspective this is absolutely a feat of engineering with the ability to fold this screen, it comes with a lot of downsides on the RAZR particularly, starting with the edges. There are some major gaps on the sides of the display, which just honestly gives me a general anxiety with daily use. Motorola says your display should not be affected by this, but opening up the phone with my thumb makes for this collection of dirt, skin, and whatever else might be on your hands. This does not make for a good look at all, and it's difficult to clean out. With phones like the Galaxy Fold and Galaxy Z Flip, you don't have these gaps at all. They are covered up and provide much more peace of mind and a better feeling experience. Now, the feeling of the display is undoubtedly my biggest disappointment with the RAZR. In addition to the gaps on the sides, there seem to be gaps between the folding display and the phone itself, which makes for a very cheap and poorly designed experience. Here's a sound bit of tapping the screen from an older video. For me, this honestly kills the overall experience, and it's the reason why you don't see me actually using the phone all too much in this video. Other foldables on the market like the Galaxy Fold have their display flush against the phone, and while having a less durable screen, which you must be mindful of, it does not give off any bit of the cheap and poor feeling experience the RAZR does here. The combination of this and the plastic backing feels nowhere near a premium $1,500 or even a $750 experience that I paid for this unit here. And the lower specs of the RAZR certainly don't help the cause either. Currently shipping with Android 9 and a much lower than expected processor, it quickly becomes difficult to figure out where the value of this device lies. When you pay this much money for new technology, you want to have something that is cutting edge, far outweighs other options on the market, and wows you every time you use it. Unfortunately, with the RAZR, this hasn't been the case for me. There are new technologies on the market currently which do provide this experience, like Samsung's Galaxy Fold. It does have a crazy price tag of $1,300 on the secondhand market at the time of this video, but it checks all of the boxes and has a lot less compromises. Check out my Galaxy Fold video if you're interested in learning more about what makes it such a great device. Tracing back to the focus of this video, the RAZR just doesn't cut it when it comes to a real-life use case relying heavily on a smartphone. The screen is just not optimal for viewing YouTube content given its narrow display. display. You can zoom in on your videos, but it just cuts out too much of it in my opinion. And you won't be watching videos or doing other intensive tasks for too long because the battery drains quickly. There's just too much going wrong here to make this a phone that I can highly recommend. But to those out there who are feeling that RAZR nostalgia or may not rely on your phone for everything you do and have a tablet or laptop for tasks that need a larger screen, and you can come to terms with some quirky display attributes, then finding this phone on the secondhand market like I did for $750 could be a worthwhile venture. But what are your thoughts on the Motorola RAZR? How much do you think it is worth? And at what price would you purchase one? Do you agree or disagree with my points made in this video? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up. And please consider subscribing to the Shane Symonds YouTube channel today and hitting the bell icon for notifications. I hope to see you guys around for the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.